Hey there, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into an extraordinary journey with Peter Kraus, from his early days to groundbreaking achievements. Now, when we hired Peter at FMG, he stood out immediately to me because he had exceptional talent and he was totally determined. And really, that was just the start of his amazing adventure. Now, you fast forward, and Peter was conquering Ironman triathlons, and then I see him on TV on The Bachelorette, winning hearts with his charm and making headlines with his bold no to the proposal. This wasn't just about romance for him, at least that's what I believe, and it was a journey really that I think was about self-discovery, which catapulted him into the spotlight. Now, post his TV fame, Peter dived right into his passion, which was transforming the way fitness clubs are available. Now he owns 4 innovative 24/7 gym locations in Wisconsin, redefining fitness as community hubs and innovation centers. Now, he and I got a chance to spend some time together, and during our reunion, it was really driven by a shared vision. Peter's gyms needed a revolutionary platform, and Buzops was really that answer. With 24/7 access, easy online signups, and smart management, Buzops really was enhancing the way that his gyms operated. So what we're about to discuss is more than just a chat. It's really the evolution of Peter, a man who's constantly reinventing himself, from working for me at FMG to being on The Bachelorette, and then now a fitness industry leader. Peter's journey really is a lesson in passion and excellence. So smash that like button, subscribe, and let's dive into this inspiring tale. Get ready for some motivation and a ride with Peter Kraus.
My name is Peter Kraus. I own Peter Kraus Fitness in southern Wisconsin. I currently have 4 locations in the southern region of Wisconsin, 1 more on the books for 2024, and then 2 more potentially within 2025 going into 2026.
All right, so I have some questions for you. You've got a lot of clubs. You have clubs that you're growing quickly. You have deals in the pipeline, agreements being made. Can you walk us through the moment that you realize, like, the previous system that you have or had was no longer going to benefit you? Okay, it wasn't going to meet the needs. So what were the key factors that drove that decision to switch over to Buzops?
I think it starts with when I first opened my very first gym, the business model was very grand. It was, I wanted to do everything for everyone, and it hadn't really been refined yet to what am I really good at it or good at, and then what do I want business to look like on that more acute scale moving forward. So I needed a software that felt robust. It could handle all those things: personal training, classes, door entry, all these things that mind body was just what was known in the community at the time, fitness community. And the cost seemed fine. It was like $250, I want to say, up front. And as time went on, I realized that it wasn't really good at directing people to the locations I wanted them to go. It was just able to do all of it. And so it made it more complicated for my staff, but then also my gym goers to figure out what it was that they wanted. And so they would, well, I just do nothing. Or then I was just having to field all these questions all the time of, what is it that I do to get what it is that I need out of your gym? So what I wanted was a more streamlined process for what I figured out was my target for the gym's business, which is now personal training or small group training, and then just 24-hour access. And I also knew that with expanding into multiple clubs at a fast rate with not a lot of financing to do it, I needed something that was more cost effective. They wanted $400+ per month per location plus percentage of sales. And that was too much for me. Like, if I'm going to expand quickly, I need low cost. And so I needed to find something that was a more affordable rate and was effective in the couple of areas that I really wanted it to be, to where my users had no questions. They would log on, have access, and be good to go.
Perfect. So what would you say is the most immediate changes that you've observed after migrating over to Buzops?
Pretty straightforward. I mean, just ease of use. The onboarding process with MindBody for each trainer each time was really a week of a couple sessions, and then after that it would be constant upkeep with my trainers of questions that I was having to field. Even with my staff, my desk staff, and their selling of memberships and all that, there was just a lot of questions always being asked. And if I wanted multiple membership options, my trainers were always asking, well, how do I implement that? As opposed to Buzops, it was really like, it's self-explanatory. Here's what it was described as, and they would just purchase it. I tried doing another software in between, and it was software that was originally designed to be for group fitness only, and they made a secondary option for gyms. And so I started that, and I could tell they were in the early stages of it, or they had just taken on someone else's application and not refined it, because there was a 3-step process for booking one class. I had to buy the package, then go find a class, then basically go back into my membership, if you will, or my profile, and select the class from my package, knowing where that class now was, as opposed to just saying, I log onto the app and it gives me a list of classes, I select the class, select my payment option, and I'm done. So there was constantly, again, me having to do more legwork of answering all the questions for all of my staff, answering all the questions for all of my class goers. There was no direct sale option online. So Buzops really refined all that very quickly, and now I'm pretty much hands-free.
Could you share a specific instance where Buzops 24/7 access control features tangibly, actually tangibly benefited your business, or the operations or the customer service? Like, how did it tangibly affect you in a positive way or a negative way?
I mean, it's as the business continues to progress and I expand, I have this business model that's able to expand quickly, and the less I can have people at the door, the better. The less I can spend on each club, the better. And so if I can have an operational system that allows people to come in at a checkpoint with no one being there, and it's safe and it's secure, and it's promised to do exactly what I need to do, which is 1 day of access or 1 week of access or 1 year of access, Buzops is the only software that I've found that's actually able to do that. So now I can expand very fast at a low cost relative to what it would be with a place like MindBody, which they don't even have the door access point that I've been aware of yet. And so it's saving operational costs. It's increasing exponential for growth. It's really just a streamlined process that did not exist prior to this, to my knowledge.
So today, just looking at it, you have the ability for customers to go ahead and purchase online. Immediately from that purchase, they get access credentials to their phone.
Yep.
If you have customers who don't want access credentials to their phone, you can go ahead and sign them up in store, or they can still buy online, and then you can give them other credentials like a key fob or some other entry point to get in.
So I'm currently on HID checkpoint. So people bring in their card that I have to have someone physically there to give them in the first place. If I need that card removed, I have to go into the system on location typically and remove that card's access, or I have to get that card back from that individual, which is tracking them down and getting a time for them to show up. If they're working night shifts, I never have a time available for them to do this. So then it's sometimes weeks out in advance, and then I have to make sure that I'm keeping track of that key throughout that entire process, so it's not being utilized in a way that I don't want. Whereas now it's all at touch of a finger for both the user and me, and I can give instant feedback and instant access or remove access.
So I think I get this question a lot.
Yeah.
And it's not in my notes, but since we're talking about it, one of the questions, or at least the concerns that I get from other business owners who have gyms, who have 24-hour access, it's kind of twofold. One of the questions is their immediate concern and inability, and it's not necessarily just 24-hour access, but the billing functions. Some of them only can take credit card payments, and that's been more prominent today than it has been in the past, where some of these software systems are shutting down your ability to go ahead and take ACH payments online through an online portal because they want you to bill through credit card. In my opinion, it's disadvantageous for a business owner to always be taking credit card. It's advantageous for the software company because they get a bigger percentage of that revenue stream, because a lot of them have control over that processor. And on ACH, you're in the 1% or lower range to be able to bill. Plus, you have more guarantee that payment's going to come through, and it's harder to do like a chargeback or return on it.
Right.
So I see that as a challenge that's been in the past, or at least questions. How has your experience been so far now that everything's kind of been migrated over?
Well, so the startup on my side was not ideal because I didn't keep up with my thesis. So I imagine once that's all back in place, it'll be extremely fast and easy. I like the fact that the second someone has an inactive payment, I'm notified, and right there on my phone, I get up to the moment, like real time data, so I can instantly say, okay, this person's not paying their bills, and so I can instantly shut off the key fob, or I can go and just charge their account, or I can call the credit card company and figure out why it is. I have yet to learn a lot more about the ACH side of it though, and I assume it'll be better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it will be.
yeah. It
So
seems much easier.
You can charge through ACH now that function is available.
Yeah,
Uh,
which, like you said, is so much more effective long term because I don't have to constantly be updating people's credit cards.
yeah.
I don't have to keep up with people that have credit card declines. I don't have to worry about any fees if there are any associated with that.
You bring another point, which you have this.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew this. We've talked about it, but the automatic account updater, right? So we have the ability of allowing your customers' credit card accounts to be automatically updated.
Oh, so yeah, we've talked about it. We're
Yeah.
like, where they get a new credit card, it updates by
Yep,
itself.
you don't have to call them. You don't have to track them down to get payment again.
Yeah, I've realized the declines right now are because of my TSIS
System you set up.
Yeah.
Your prior setup,
Right.
unassociated with Buzops.
Yeah.
Then the other thing that came to mind when we were talking was on the migration process. A lot of people go, well, I'm already using one system for either 24-hour access, or I'm already using one system. How involved do I have to be to like manually enter customers' names into a system to be doing all the work? And my response is always, we'll do as much of it as we can, to the knowledge level that we have about your customers.
Mm-hmm.
So how is that process migrating customers over into Buzops, either from door access and or just migrating them into the correct location?
Well, so what I experienced is I had four locations, 4 clubs at the time of the transition. One was operating on one system. Another was operating on a system. How did I have it? Three of them were operating on the same system, and one was operating on a secondary system. I first switched to Buzops on the one that was kind of its isolated gym, and that transition was overnight, super easy, no issue whatsoever. Once I got into 3 clubs, all on separate systems to save money, I figured out a way through that with MindBody. They wanted to charge me, $400 per gym to literally, like, it was the same landing page, but they're trying to charge for 4 separate accounts.
Right.
And the user still went to the same landing page. And it's like, well, I'm just paying for the one. Why not just name each membership different? So I did that to save money. And from that, it created a lot of confusion in the transition. Outside of that, the process itself was very easy. I mean, I was hands off the whole time, answering questions. I went back through and checked every single one of my members one by one to make sure they were up to date and everybody's up to date. Names are in file, packages are in file, their access level is in file. It was all labeled. There was custom packages made by your team to make sure that everybody was able to have their packages just switched over without issue. On the date that it was set to go live, it went live with no issue. So it was really pretty much just me doing too much work trying to make sure everything was working. But if I had just trusted the process, it'd be fine.
Awesome. Yeah. So what ways is, let me ask this question. So what ways has Buzops allowed you to reduce overhead costs? Okay, and how has the financial savings, how do you intend on using that financial savings to reinvest in the business?
I mean, the more money in my pocket, the more money I can use on advertisement and ad spend. So the more I can save, the better, especially with a low budget business. So it's instant return because I'm not paying as much for the software in itself. So I'm saving money there. Then if I can get more traffic into the times where I can't afford to put people on staff, I'm gaining revenue without spending more money in those spaces. So I'm putting, again, more money in my pocket to then put back into ad spend. And ad spend means more than people coming to those times or the staffed hours. And so it's all just building upon itself and creating this like cyclone of profit.
One of the things we talked about was reporting, because I've always had a bit of a challenge. Anytime I've gone to help someone, just kind of do a consultation with them on their business and where their revenue is coming in, maybe where their revenue is leaking, and looking at the myriad of reports that exist. Okay, and there's a lot of really good ones, but I think it's taking the data collectively and understanding what it means and how to interpret it. And you're at a position now where you're growing and you're having to take that data to understand what's the next financial move that you make for growth. What ways has Buzops allowed you to kind of review reports or get enhanced reports to make better decisions for your business?
Well, my reports are pretty small, straightforward at this point. Like I'm still in a growth process, but I owe a percentage of sales to the complexes that I'm within every single month, and so it's easy to just pull that right then and there. Versus in the old software, I had to select every type of membership that I needed to pull from, and that took hours each time to try and figure out like, okay, which one am I pulling again for this month, for which location? Now it's just go to general reports, select the type of report I want, and it's printed out right then and there. I download it as an Excel or a PDF, whatever I want, and then I just immediately send that off to that complex, and they, send me an invoice.
Perfect.
So my day went from 3 or 4 hours every first to now 30 minutes.
Okay, good. We talk about automation. I mean, your business is highly automated, and even more so now.
Yeah.
So, can you provide examples of how the automation that you've implemented within Buzops, the impacts that it's had for you and on your staff's workload?
I mean, the more automated a business can become, the more free time you have to think. The more thinking time you have, the more you have potential for new ideas, new opportunities within the business. So if I can automate that process to the point where I'm just on vacation, thinking clearly about what it is I want to do next, the better it's going to be for the business's long-term health. So if I can automate the entire step-by-step process of someone coming into the gym, getting their trainer, getting the small group training, get into the next phase of their fitness, keeping track of them long-term, making sure that they're getting their, updates from the gym, make sure that they're getting all their emails, then I can just do that from a place of my dreams, and the business kind of runs itself at that point. And I just have checks and balances along the way. So it's made my life a lot easier.
So saving time and reducing headache.
Yeah.
The big point.
And with multiple clubs, I don't want to be having to go from place to place. Like when I very first started these gyms, everything was on Excel sheets within house. So I was going to each location, not even knowing about Google Sheets at this time. I was so archaic to literally have to run my reports at each location every month on the first. And if there's any issue at any one gym with any access point, I was in that gym fixing it on site. Now it's all done literally from a phone, and I can run all my reports, check all my access points, add or cancel members within seconds, and never have to get in my car.
What, looking at long term, like you have a big vision for your business, and we're talking, hundreds, maybe thousands of locations.
That'd be amazing.
So you look at that picture, and you start to recognize the impact it's had on the 4, now moving into the 7. How has that switch to Buzops aligned with your long-term vision for expansion?
I believe Buzops is the only thing that makes it possible. So without Buzops, this long-term goal does not become possible without huge financial backing. There was probably some capability in building out my own software, my own door system, whatever it may be. I came up with an idea originally where they'd gain access through a key code on the door at each location that I had to get physical access to each time, then change that code every single time. It's doable, but it's very time consuming, very cumbersome, very expensive to install that first time, and there's a lot of flaws in that process. I can now expand to all these clubs. I could probably do 10 new clubs a week and have it all in the same system, and it's no real extra time out of my hands because it's all just the system's ready to go. It just implements as soon as that door opens.
Pre-boxed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what feedback have you received from your members since implementing the new system, and how has that affected member retention and or acquisition of new members? Because that's always a concern. I mean, you have gyms who are looking at their day-to-day, and most of the time, because I've own gyms as well, and your thought process really revolves around the growth of your business, the leads that you can generate, the marketing and advertising, keeping the club clean, cleaning the toilets, updating your staff on new ideas or new concepts or new plans, making sure your closeout is strong. I mean, there's all these other components, and a lot of it revolves around driving you traffic and retention.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times emphasis is not put on software and how software itself can prevent loss of customers, or software itself can streamline the process for a consumer so that way they can gain instant access. And reports are now showing that those who go to be able to do self-serve and join, they're 25% happier with self-satisfaction because they don't have to wait for an hour to go through a tour. Consumers, as you know, are more educated today.
Yeah.
And so a lot of them are at the point where They want to be able to do what they want to do without having to have interference by someone else when they already know their decision. So what kind of feedback have you gotten from your current customers through both the acquisition of new customers and or customers that are currently existing?
Yeah.
Has there been any churn or loss of revenue because of switching?
I think the easiest place to start is the moment you lose someone's banking information or credit card information in any way. So let's say someone's card's declined because it's expired and I have to reach out to them to get a hold of that. That is already an opportunity for loss. It takes weeks to get a hold of them. I have to just keep nailing them down. Maybe I send them collections. Is collections really beneficial when I'm trying to get $50 a month out of them? Like, probably not.
Or a good Google review.
Yeah, right.
Which could turn into a bad one.
Yeah, so like it's just not worth it. So if there's, as you already stated before, just a implemented process that will do it for me, that's already a headache out of my mind, but also a less likely chance of losing that person's monthly revenue. So that's one place. The second is the more streamlined the process can be for a booking of any service, the more likely that person is to book. And this is also why I want to automate the entire system of getting into the gym in the first place. Is if you wake up at 1 a.m. with this stream of conscious of I need to go get fit, you may do it at 1 a.m. if it's accessible to you right there on your phone. And then the door is in the next morning. But if you can do it when you're feeling hot in that moment, the easier and the more likely you are to do that. And so if I can have an app right there and an opportunity for that person to buy on a whim, I'm going to increase my revenue. If someone has to book a time, I have to agree to that time. I have to show up to that time. They have to sit in traffic. They have to schedule around other events. They have to figure out what door to go into. Sometimes some of the locations, they're less and less and less and less and less likely to actually get into that, buying phase. So already it's increased my potential for revenue, and then it's just a headache-free, process for the class goer. They now have one button to press. They select the class, it redeems from the package, or they select the payment option that they want, and then they're done. So everything's just easier with it.
So I think about the consumer buying journey, right? I think we've adopted this or evolved into this way of purchasing where everything's online. E-commerce has done nothing but grow. And so as a consumer, even myself, anybody, you have the ability to go ahead and buy and get it now. And Amazon, I think, has done a great job of that. You buy with one swipe, and potentially some items are actually at your house the same day. So I think as consumers, we're less patient than we used to be, and that was one of the reasons of continuing to evolve Buzops software. But in your perspective, as a business owner, and you're making adaptations to the way that you operate your business model, making it more automated, giving the consumers the ability to go ahead, and I've already seen this, but I'm going to ask you, giving the consumers the ability to not only just buy a membership online, 24-hour access or not, take that out of the picture, whether you're selling group or one-on-ones, or you're selling other services, could be massage therapy or physical therapy in a facility, and also gaining membership access to a facility. A lot of gyms that are already doing this, where they're placing this on their website and it's a one-click option to purchase, they're seeing 20% of their membership base is purchasing online and getting immediate access from their phone, which eliminates the meeting.
Right.
It doesn't necessitate a meeting for the consumer to go in and now get a coupon because they have access on their phone.
Right.
What are you seeing from that perspective? I know some of these things are in the process of implementation, but what's your experience, or what are your thoughts on that?
On just the fact that it's all right there, like touch of a button. So one way I look at it is, anytime there's a sales process involved face to face, you have to have a salesperson. Salespeople usually are motivated by something, awards, finance, whatever it may be. And so that person is going to be expensive or hard to retain unless they're getting a lot of sales. The consumer is looking at a sales process like, I've been through this a million times. I don't want to be sold on anything. So you have to find someone who's really good at sales and just interpersonal communication, developing friendships and all that within the gym. They're pricey. You have to promise money up front. I can't afford to do that as a young, growing business, especially post-pandemic. So I would rather have a system in place that sells the consumer through what they want, which, all these companies, Amazon does. Like, there's no one selling to you on Amazon. Amazon is what you want when you want it. This is that. But then I can put people in place that are just the friendly face, the person to answer the questions, the person to help out when needed, the person that's there checking up on things and running the day-to-day of the club without having to do the things that they don't like and the consumer doesn't want. So it really just makes the whole process more personal and enjoyable, in my opinion, and doesn't put pressure on anybody, and also doesn't put a financial strain on myself. So it's all around beneficial.
We have I wasn't even thinking about talking about this, but
Yeah.
because we're at the point, we've already launched it, and we haven't implemented it into the mobile application yet, but it's right there, and it is available for gym owners. And we've talked about it a little bit, but it's the affiliate marketing program that we've established, and it allows your customers, your advocates of your business, the ones who love you the most. And I think everyone knows. I mean, in my gyms, I knew who those customers were, and it goes beyond the referral, right? Because there's referral marketing, and although that's good and beneficial, giving away 1 month to some people is not appealing enough. And we were always looking at ways to get essentially a sales team or an army of salespeople that were interested in selling what we were servicing, what the offers that we have, whether it's memberships or helping people change their lives. How do you see today? Like, you have a list of customers that that would probably adopt the affiliate marketing, where they have the ability to go ahead and make money on your memberships. And is that something you would even use? Right? Because
totally.
Quite honestly, I've only asked a few gym owners, and then asked myself, like, is this something I know I would use it?
Yeah.
So is that something that, one, you see yourself using, and two, do you see yourself finding immediate customers that you can go to and you can say, Jody, Dan, Rob, here's the affiliate marketing program. Here's the link. This is all I need you to do is put this link out there on your social pages, or drive customers to this link. You can send it to them directly. Do you think your customers would actually do that for you? And do you have a list of names in mind?
I've tried in-house versions of that as well. So just putting up signs with referral codes, scan, post, whatever, tag us. I'm shocked at how little it gets used. So it's not that I don't want it to be there. I mean, like, a referral program is always a great, I guess, like, tool, but it's one that I have yet to figure out how to do. I have a large social media following myself, and I'm always putting out flyers about my business and please repost and all that, and it really doesn't get done. So if there's a way to make that more, I guess, like, enticing to the user, I'm all for it. But with my business model as well, on the opposite end of that is I team up with a lot of apartment complexes in the Madison area, and if they have the ability to shoot off this code to all their people very quickly, then it just, it amplifies the reach much faster than if I'm going to each individual person. So if the apartment gets some sort of a kickback, or the individuals that are doing that share get some sort of a kickback, it's going to, again, increase the rate that actually gets put out there. And so it's benefiting me in the long run too.
Cool. Finally, what advice would you give other gym owners who might be considering a switch to a system like Buzops but are hesitant to make a change? Because I get this a lot.
Yeah.
They have the idea, this is what I want to do, I want to make these changes, or I have these pain points, and a lot of times the pain is not strong enough to get them to make a move. We all know that. Pains are what make people move. So if the pain is not great enough, what would you say to them to help them understand, like, this thought is in their head, they want to switch to a different software system? How would you advise them, or what would you say?
My first thought is, when I look out long term, initial cost shouldn't be initial cost. It's, what is this going to save me in the next 6 months, 12 months, 12 years, whatever it is with this business. I'm not doing business to get rich quick. I'm doing it for retirement. So if I look at it in that way, if I can save thousands of dollars long term, I'm making a good decision. If I'm spending thousands of dollars up front to do it, that may be tougher. But if I'm more just like reducing cost up front by switching over to a slightly less expensive software, and it costs $2,000 to do it, I'm probably going to save money long term. So when I first looked at that, I was thinking, I'm saving hundreds of dollars potentially per month. But long term, there's less issue because there's less time spent on the software itself. So I'm saving money that way as well. If I'm opening up more opportunity for people to get into the gym without having staff those hours, which I'm paying for, I'm saving money that way. So within the first year, I'm actually saving a lot more money than there is on paper. So that alone makes me think this is a good decision. For another software, it was the one that I had in between. It was the ease of use when it came to difficult or pain points for myself. So if I ran into an issue with the software, I had to email this company to get response. And then they had to email me back. And I had to email them again. And all of a sudden, I don't get anything done for 2 days because it's just a bunch of back and forth. And with Mindbody, it was nice. I'd be able to like call in and get the answers that I need, but I would oftentimes be told right there, I was like, oh, like we're shut down for this holiday, or we're on a 3-day backup, or we're just going to get back to you when we can, or we don't have the answer to that. We'll send you an email with this step-by-step process that you can do yourself. I'm not a software guy. That's not what I do. I like fitness. I like movement. I like health. That's what I'm good at. Stop trying to tell me what to do with a step-by-step sheet that I wouldn't read in the first place. So if I can have a system that's in place that's the people that are doing it are the knowledgeable ones. They do it for me. They're easily accessed via phone or text or email, whatever it is. Then I'm more likely to use it. So again, saving me headaches, which is again money in my pocket in the way I look at it, because I have more bandwidth to give to the business and more time. So if I'm reading all these emails, going back and forth in emails, I'm spending a lot of time, which is money, with those companies. So that whole automated process, the ease of talking to you and to the others within the business, the very quick response and the quick fixes has made the whole business move forward faster, which is again money back in my pocket. So those upfront costs got less and less scary when I realized that the long-term gain is so much more.
Awesome. Thank you.